Hello, guys, and welcome back to the Crazy Poultering Podcast. We just did our best of the year, and by our, I mean my co-host as usual, Mr. Nick Knickers Chicken.
Hey, yeah.
Had a fun time talking about some of our favorite films that we saw over the year, but it's time to now, as always with every year that passes, to talk about some shit.
This is my favorite of the year right here.
Because as I felt for most of this year, there was a lot of big disappointments this year. And then there was a number of okay, but boy, those stunkers really stunk. And you know what? I never wish that I see, a terrible movie. It's just I sit there and I'm watching shit. Well, this is almost 2.5 hours of my life that I'm never getting back. But regardless, we have to experience the shit so that we can, appreciate the good when we see it. So, because of my notes that I threw out, I don't really have much of mentionables, but I'm sure a lot of them that Nick has written down also, so he's just going to name off his mentionables, and I'll also just chime in every once in a while.
Why'd I do this myself? So, yeah, I didn't watch a lot of shit this year. I'm going to read the first ones. First, 6 I'm going to read are the stuff that I have not seen, but from all accounts that I've watched are really bad movies. For probably more than one reason. 50 Shades Freed.
Yep.
Show Dogs. Breaking In. Mile 22. Nutcracker in the Four Fucking Realms. Disney. And Sherlock Gnomes, which is a bad year for Sherlock. Anyways.
I didn't see any of those. And as far as the 50 Shades thing, I'm only ever going to watch them if I'm dared.
I'm only ever going to watch them if I have a significant other to watch them with. But yeah. Anyways, I guess I'll go into the ones I did watch that, were shit.
Uh-huh.
Not going to explain any of them. I don't recommend any of them. You can watch them if you want, but I, don't advise it. Truth or Dare, Cloverfield Paradox, The Darkest Minds, Death Wish, Peppermint, Strangers Pray at Night, and, one of them was kind of borderline for me. I guess it was funny at times, but it wasn't not a great movie, and that was Action Point.
Yeah, for me, Action Point about made my list, but it just ended up being it didn't leave any kind of impact on me, so that's why it left.
You know what, actually, I'm going to throw in another one I watched. It was a B movie, and that was, oh God, what was that? It was, Vinny just got it.
Hellfest?
Bloodfest.
Oh, Bloodfest.
Yeah, that was another one of the dishonorable mentions. Sorry, I forgot that one.
Truth or Dare? Yeah, it's bad, but I laughed. I at least had that enjoyment in it. It's not a good movie, but I could easily sit and watch it and have a good time and laughing at it. But that's just me. I can laugh at shit.
It was.
So are those just your honorable mentions?
Yep.
Okay, then. Yeah, let's just pour on some more shit. You know what? I think I took the reins last time. I'll let you start this time.
Okay. These first two are probably gonna. No, it might not shock a lot of people, but they certainly had a lot of hype behind both of them. And
number 15.
For me, number 15 is Venom. One of the most amazing villains in any universe, and he's supposed to be like this badass, which he is, and they made him look like an absolute bitch in a lot of the movie. No fault to Tom Hardy. I actually thought Tom Hardy was pretty good as Venom. But I was not a fan of Michelle Williams. The villain was awful. Actually, I kind of don't even remember the villain. I remember who he was, but yeah. I just don't think they depicted Eddie Brock well in this movie. I know it's a Venom movie, but I thought it should have involved someone but Spider-Man, and then they introduced Carnage at the end, and it was Woody Harrelson. So, if that's any indication about how they're going forward, and if they do the movie like they did Venom, I don't see a lot of positives. So, I was severely disappointed. I know it made money, and it's Venom, so he is a great character, but I thought that they completely did him wrong in this movie, and severely disappointed, and it's doing really bad on Rotten, of course.
Yeah, the only thing I'll mention about Venom is I wanted Venom to be better, and I got that, so I got enough enjoyment for me. Number 15 to start off my worst of the year is Pacific Rim Uprising. Because the reason why it fell so low is that it's just very generic, but it was just so generic that it just left that imprint on me. And just a showing of once you get rid of Guillermo del Toro's style, it's just flat and unappealing. No accounting for extra life that probably was lost, and boy did it just anger if you were like a Gundam fan with a shameless provide.
And boy did it flop at the box office.
It did. But again, the thing that I can just say that saves it from getting any higher is that it just did not leave as much of a punch in the face than some for me. So yeah, number 15, Pacific Rim Uprising.
Oh boy. Well, certain listeners are going to be disappointed with me on this one. Number 14 for me was maybe the most anticipated horror movie of the year. Well known, I should say, and that's Halloween.
We did do a whole
oh my god,
45
yeah.
minutes.
I'm not going to go into a spiel about it because obviously you know what we think, but I saw it the first time, thought it was okay. And if you see the movie a second time and have a worse experience outside of the movie and during the movie and seeing the movie, then you know it's a bad movie. You know, I'm probably putting harsher stuff on it than most people, but Jamie Lee Curtis is, you know, pretty good in it. But the other people, the other people were trying really hard, and it just didn't work. And some of the choices they made, as far as, you know, the doc and I don't know. And they made, I don't know, Michael Myers is supposed to be this badass, you know. And from all accounts, from a lot of the accounts in the older movies, he is. But in my opinion, still the original is the only good one in the series. And I don't know, I think they just dumbed him down. And I have a feeling there's going to be sequels.
Oh, there is.
And I don't know. I just can't say anything else. I just was extremely disappointed. And I was highly anticipating it, and it just let me down.
Okay. Number 14 for me was Rampage.
Oh.
Because, of course, again, let's make another video game movie, have almost entirely none of the same plot that is actually in the actual video game, and let's have Rock do one-liners and make him literally invincible. The villains were complete trash because they didn't know how to really go out about their plan. What was their end game? I don't understand it. The only cool thing were the action sequences with the actual animals fighting, and I cared about the big white gorilla more than anybody else.
I think I love George. Those reasons didn't go into my worst.
But to me, it just, again, was just another proving that video games are not great for making films. They should just stay as video games.
And like I said, that's not even Rock's worst movie of the year, in my opinion.
It's not his worst of the year. It's coming up, but he kind of knew what he was in, so he at least had a little bit of fun in it. So that's why it was only at number 14, Rampage.
Yeah, I can't really fault you. That'd probably go in my barely okay movies of the year. Just because it meant a little more to me. But, alright, Ian said already, my number 13, that's Pacific Rim Uprising. Shit. I don't even know what to... I was blown away by how bad this was. The first one was so great. And to go from that to this, and I don't know, it won't win any points for subtlety or originality, I'll tell you that right now.
Nope.
Basically, it was a, Rock'em Sock'em robots versus kaiju movie, and, that's really all it was. I didn't get anything from the humans. I felt really bad for John Boyega in this movie. Yeah. Yeah. I don't recommend any of you watch this. Just buy the first one, enjoy it, and say it ended there.
If you don't enjoy the first one, it's okay. This is going to be the one that I hope I don't get too much shit for, or my head bitten off. But for me, at number 13 was Bohemian Rhapsody. I admit Rami Malek was really great as Freddie Mercury, as he's depicted on screen. However, this is supposed to be a biopic about Queen, and they're one of the most interesting, influential, and almost strange bands that has ever existed. And the fact that this still just felt like a generic biopic about a rock band, which doing nothing really racy at all, and of course it not being R to allow that, I felt was a disservice to it. And again, the few points that also knocked it down is that the actual facts that are not in this movie, which are timing of when he finds out he has AIDS, is years after the actual Live Aid event. Apparently, Freddie was way more of an introvert. He wasn't like flamboyant like how they were portraying him, which I don't blame Rami Malek for any of that, because he is told to do this and he captures it. The final Live Aid concert is easily the best part of the film, but with so many of these actual just factual things that are wrong with it, just kept knocking it. And I was really anticipating this, and this is now having me question how many more biopics I want. And this is just my opinion. It's one I'm not going to go back to, and that's number 13, Bohemian Rhapsody.
It's a disservice.
My opinion, it's not a disservice.
Oh, it's a disservice. The fact that you just said the Live Aid part was great should knock it out of your top 15, because that was a large part of the movie. But yeah, anyways, cool. Number 12 for me was Winchester.
Yep, I didn't watch that.
I got it in for free. That was good. Whatever. But basically, like the grand staircase in the famous mansion, it gets a rise out of you, but it leads nowhere. Jason Clarke, Helen Mirren, nobody gave a good performance in this, and it was about the freaking famous mansion with the guns. I mean, it's supposed to be pre-revolutionary, and I don't even know who directed this freaking movie. Michael Spierig. Don't even know what else he did. It was a bad movie all around. Don't really want to talk about it. See it if you must. Pay for $1 on Redbox. Sure, you can do that, but don't recommend it to anybody, and don't know why I watched it.
Okay. Number 12 for me was another big disappointment of the year, and that was Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. This was so many things going on and so poorly edited, and a lot of character choices that I just didn't understand. One of the characters that was easily one of the most likable in the first one is turned into a complete psycho bitch. Dan Fogler was again the biggest bright spot for me in this, and I thought they at least elevated Newt's character a little bit, but everything around it just was so convoluted. I felt that Grindelwald wasn't even in the movie, and he wasn't even a particularly great, memorable villain. I just give advice that, J.K. Rowling get an actual screen adaptation writer or help with this, because she herself wrote the first Fantastic Beasts, which I thought was, pretty good. But this is just writing for a book, and it's not for an actual film. So disappointing. Number 12, Fantastic Beasts.
All right. Well, number 11 is one I actually just watched recently. The trailer didn't really look that great to me, and it ended up being about the movie I thought it would, and that's Mortal Engines. Yeah, it's cool looking, had good special effects, but the narrative feel in the whole movie was just ridiculously bad. And Hugo Weaving was the only actor I even really remembered that was in the movie, but I mean, even he was kind of up and down. It's crap, man. It was bad. It could have been so much better. I believe Peter Jackson produced it. Am I correct in that?
He produced and helped write it.
Yeah, okay, well, yeah, that's knock on Peter Jackson. He's done a lot of good work, but this was cataclysmically bad, and don't recommend it to anybody. I was so bored throughout. The part I remember the most was seeing was a football player for like 2 seconds, you know? Mm-hmm. That was my most memorable part in the movie. I just thought it was bad all around. No character development. Yeah, Mortal Engines. Don't recommend it.
Number 11 for me, just breaking up, not making the top 10. Again, don't know how this will go over with anybody, but for me, it was Solo. Why did this get made? Which was the biggest question I had going into it. And I left the theater going, yes, why was that made? It absolutely didn't add anything that interesting to the actual Solo character. In fact, he was the most boring character out of everything. Biggest credit I'll give acting-wise is, of course, to Donald Glover, because he's just apparently great in everything he's doing right now. But they still did something really weird with Lando in that too, which I didn't quite understand. The color of this was just too dark and almost... I've heard this joke before, and so pardon me that I'm using it, but it looked like Taco Bell meat color. Just brown everywhere. And it was not suspenseful because I knew these characters were not going to die. And this is easily the first flop for Star Wars, and it's also one of the biggest flops of the year, because they basically reshot the whole thing because they didn't like what Lord and Miller did. And I am willing to bet that one was at least a little bit more entertaining. So, and I don't feel like I ever even have to buy this to complete my collection because it doesn't add anything that I want. So, Solo, you're number 11.
I can't complete the collection because I don't have episode 2. So, it wouldn't matter regardless to me, I guess. But my number 10 is Gotti.
I did not watch that. I have heard horrible things,
Christ.
But I didn't want to watch it.
Well, I like John Gotti. I'm a huge fan of the guy, personal guy, because, you know, he's the head of the Gambino crime family, probably one of the most biggest crime families in history. And didn't know anything going into it, and then I found out John Travolta was playing Gotti, and I was like, well, shit. And that's exactly what it was. I don't know. It was supposed to feel like a tragedy movie, you know, about trials and prison sentences and all that stuff, and I didn't retain anything. Basically, I didn't even fall asleep during the movie, but I felt like I did because, like I said, I didn't retain anything. And sure, you could see it, but it's not good, and I don't recommend it for any John Gotti fans out there. So, John Travolta, you suck.
Well, fans of John Gotti, I'm kind of asking about, because isn't he still a terrible person?
He is, but like I said, he's revolutionary and a part of history. You know, it may not be good. Bad people are a revolutionary part of history, and John Gotti is one of those.
Yeah. So to start my top 10 is a movie that you previously mentioned, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about because we talked about it for 45 minutes, and that's Halloween. Well, I have to clarify now. Halloween 2018, because there's technically 3 films called that now. The promise that was given about this film did not live up to it. Jamie Lee Curtis was the brightest spot in this for me, but all the side characters I felt just completely flat. When we were talking about some stuff in the film, we talked about the boyfriend character, right?
Yeah.
And how we felt like nothing was resolved there. He just disappeared. I found on YouTube yesterday that they released a deleted scene that what happens to him. He's taken by the cops. Woohoo! Yeah. Again, we already spent 45 minutes talking. Easily was the biggest disappointment horror film for me this year. And can't wait to watch the second one, because this one was the highest opening slasher film of all time. And they didn't end it, so let's get ready. Number 10, Halloween 2018.
All right, well, these top 9 could have been in any order because they're all the worst shit imaginable on the planet. But
What'd you do? Put them in a cup and roll them?
yeah, I
like
kind of
Nancy?
just, there were certain ones that were cemented, but there was ones I just kind of, flip a coin, 50-50. This one was the most interesting, should I say, theater experience we had, and it was with the group.
Oh, wow.
And that would be The Nun. Could have been higher. Probably should have been, but, going into it, we had good movies previously. We had, 3 of the 4, I should say.
Yeah, there was one.
We had Annabelle Creation, both the Conjurings were all really good movies, and then there was Annabelle, which wasn't. So you would have thought, this would have been at least decent. But
This, however, started with a character that wasn't even initially in the second Conjuring. It was just thrown in there, and it became iconic. So
yeah, I don't know. There's just inconsistent logic and narrative slackness in this movie, and oh god, there's so many things wrong with this. I thought I was going to be scared at some parts, and I actually got scared by the people next to me more than I did from the actual movie. And I actually got a couple.
What about the ceiling that about came down?
Well, yeah, like I said, everything was happening. There was 2 people standing on the side staring at us, and there's ceiling falling on it, and then we had the rainstorm and all that shit, and it was just setting
the
up.
hurricane?
It was setting up for this movie, literally, and outside. It was a shitstorm, and it translated to this movie because that's exactly what this movie was. I don't know if they're going to go any further with it.
Well, knowing the trend right now,
I'm sure they will.
make a prequel, and maybe it'll be good.
It was crap, man. We saw movies with the group this year, and it just really hasn't panned out. So,
Nope.
The demonic nun was not demonic to me. Like I said, I laughed more than I got scared during the movie.
Yeah.
So, yeah. The Nun could have been anywhere from 1 to 9, but it ended up being number 9 for some weird fucking reason.
Number 9 for me was a movie I had high anticipation for because it just looked hilarious and it could be different. And I laughed 2 times and then I was disappointed with the rest, and that was Happy Time Murders.
Oh, fuck you, Happy Time Murders.
Wow. Said it. I had a small feeling when I saw the trailer. They probably just gave away the best jokes, and guess what they did? There was only 1 or 2 other jokes that were in the film that made me laugh. The rest of it was just a straightforward crime thriller noir, but with puppets.
Crime is right.
And I just sat there going, "Wow, this has let me down." And Jim
Henson's looking down and saying, "Brian, what the fuck are you doing?"
I don't wish that on him, but wow, this was just a colossal disappointment. And it's the only Melissa McCarthy actually movie on here that
Holy shit!
because I didn't see the other one that was highly panned, and that was Life of Party. So
Well, I didn't see the third one either, which actually been getting really good reviews, where she was an author.
yeah, well, because it was in our theater for a week.
I didn't think it was a week. I thought it was a couple days.
So yeah, thank you, Happy Time Murders. I just want regular Muppets now.
Yeah, I ended up seeing this one apart from the group, and I was excited. It basically wasted an intriguingly transgressive premise, and it had a lot of witless comedy. And like Ian said, the best parts. Number 8's Happy Time Murders,
Oh, okay.
obviously.
I was trying
Number
to
8's
figure
Happy
out.
Time Murders. It could have been anywhere from 1 to 9. So yeah, it pushes all the wrong buttons, and it attempted to tell an entertaining story, but I don't know. It's there's 2 or 3 funny parts, that were in the trailer, so they weren't as funny to me seeing them live because I'd seen them. Mm-hmm. So Brian Henson, this was absolutely disastrous, and I feel bad that he did a disservice, in my opinion, to Jim Henson, who was amazing and passed on, unfortunately. But I hope they don't go any further with it, and I believe they could. This was a really bad start.
Well, this was such a what could have been a clever idea too.
Shoot me now. Don't ever see it.
I don't know how shooting you would stop anybody else from seeing it, but okay.
Well, if they shoot me, I don't have to watch them see it.
Number 8 for me was a movie we just recently saw. It's Welcome to Marwen.
Well, that's higher than mine.
The only reason why this didn't go up higher is that I'm like, Steve Carell's trying. That's about it. The structure of this movie was just all over the place. It starts off in animation, which to me just, if you're just walking into this, you're like, oh, this is an animation. This is, computer-generated movie. No. And like all the sequences that happened, I felt didn't really contribute to the actual story. We don't even dive into the actual incident till like almost 3/4 of the way through the movie. And this is actually like an actual tragic story that happened to someone. There's actually apparently like an actual documentary out about the actual person that this is and it's apparently way more touching and way more uplifting. But the part that sealed it for me, which was just, what? Same guy that made Back to the Future made this. Also Forrest Gump. He is told to make a time machine. What is the model of that time machine? It looks a lot like a DeLorean. And it even shoots off like the DeLorean.
With a lava lamp.
And I couldn't believe what I was watching.
And it even had the fire tracks.
I almost am at the point now I don't almost want to see any of these movies that this guy makes now. He's gone off the rails so much. Number 8, Welcome to Marwen. Disappointment.
Good, I'll probably have to talk about it later then. Number 7 now. Is it? Well, like I said, any of these could have been number 1, but Skyscraper ended up being number 7. It was not a good year for The Rock.
Nope.
It's supposed to be a towering action thriller, but it's constructed in like the worst possible way, and I don't know, there was a lot of diverting features in the movie, and then Nev Campbell brought nothing to the cast, and it was your typical action movie that you could picture what was going to happen next, and it happened next. Everything in the movie had already been done, and the movie was up, basically the movie was up in a tall building. That was the only, I'm sure we can find movies that have towering buildings, but basically this movie was falling apart. Shit that happened, there's no way in hell it would have happened, and yeah, it was a crap movie. Rock, what the hell, man?
My number 7, I'm going to keep it short and simple because that's all I want to give this. And that's Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, Girl in the Spider's Web.
Oh.
Generic. And this is supposed to be a film or a series that is not supposed to be generic. It's supposed to be bone-chilling and thrilling. What the hell? Because that's what happens when David Fincher, Rooney Mara, and Daniel Craig are not involved anymore. So I had no anticipation, and this just didn't hit in any way. So yeah, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, Spider's Web, number 7.
Number 6, Ian just talked about Welcome to Marwen. Not going to go into it too much, other than I didn't really want to see it at all, and I don't know why I even watched it, but sure, some of the animation I guess was kind of cool, but other than that, it had a disjointed feel, and it was clumsy screenplay. My God, what the hell? And then, like he said, the Back to the Future riff-offs were terrible. Some of the shit
Is it a ripoff when it's the same filmmaker, though?
Yeah. Considering
Back
to the Future?
I consider it more ego-stroking.
But I don't know. You got Back to the Future and you got this. Yeah. It's a ripoff for me. And with some of the stuff they had Steve Carell do, and I guess, he was trying, but it was extremely awkward. And it probably is what exactly was supposed to happen, but as much effort as he put into it and as much shit this movie was, and has gotten absolutely no money. So, yeah, it's a shitstorm, and don't see it.
Number 6 for me is the 2018 Robin Hood.
Damn it, Ian!
The reason why it did not get higher is because I thought this looked like shit, and I went in and I was like, "Yep, I'm right. This is shit." Casting, they're trying to put good people in this, but it's horrible direction. The style of this does not fit. Robin Hood just needs to stop being made now. There's only 3 that are there are only 3 that are memorable to me throughout my life, and I don't honestly think there's going to be another one. So, put simply, it's basically Batman Begins or the Dark Knight trilogy trying to be in a Robin Hood form. All I'm going to say.
Well, I guess I'll have to go into my number 5 then. It's Robin Hood. Yep. But you know how he robs from the rich,
Yeah.
Well,
gives the poor.
The source material in this robbed from the fucking rich.
Yeah.
It's like I said, it's like he said, another poor attempt to gussy up a classic, which is Robin Hood. It's a classic story, cartoon. Some of the other movies were pretty good, and then it tried to amp you up, but the modern special effects were terrible.
And even
the look of it,
yeah.
They stole from Assassin's Creed, in my opinion.
Why would you want to steal from that?
Well, the games are amazing.
Well, but it looks like the movie.
Well, it looks like the games, too. The games came before the movie, so I'm saying it's basically the look from the games. And then, of course, the really good Assassin's Creed game came out this year, and then it made that look like shit. But, yeah, all around, it looked like crap in the previews. Ben Mendelsohn was not a good villain. Jamie Foxx had really bad accent, and probably should never have been in the movie. And
he's Little John.
Really?
It's apparently his name.
And then Taron Egerton, he's not had a good last couple of movies, and I'm scared for his movies in 2019, actually. So, yeah, Robin Hood. I hate to say it, but it probably should stop being made, because I do like the story, but they've been dumbing it down constantly.
Number 5 for me is one that you previously mentioned, and that's The Nun. I agree with all counts that you mentioned. The actual travesty around us in real life was way more scarier than the film. The only thing I'll give this is it at least tries to have atmosphere, and I laughed a lot when I wasn't supposed to. Jesus blood. Number 5, Nun. Jesus blood. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, Christ, that was quick. All right, now it's the top 4. Woohoo! Yeah. Well, another one that grossed a lot, obviously, because of its name, and this could have been anywhere from one of them. This could have been number 1. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom.
Well, guess what? We can just do this because that's the same number.
Oh, God. And that was hard because, of the name. It's supposed to be fantastic. And yeah, I'll let you start.
I want to try to be quick as possible with this. Dumbed down version of Jurassic Park. Trying to be way too dark. You could almost laugh at this for how stupid it gets. The ending is atrocious. The acting is atrocious. Jeff Goldblum is the best thing in this because he's the only one that's right.
He's in it for 2 seconds.
Yeah. And after 2 films, we technically now are getting Jurassic World. I don't care how much money this made. It was shit.
Well, okay. I'm not going to go into it, like I said, but the biggest thing I got of it was that the island they took the dinosaurs off of ended up being fine. The island that they put them on ended up blowing up.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
What the fuck are they doing? And I don't know. All involved, like maybe Jeff Goldblum was okay, but Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard and everybody else involved, given what they were given, I guess I feel bad for them.
What, you don't want that chemistry to work?
No, I don't.
Let's do the exact same thing with the third one. I dare you.
I'm done. I thought it looked bad going into it. Didn't think it was going to be this bad. And then the ending with the little girl. What the hell was that? I mean, it's
she's a clone.
Okay.
So she's
cool.
So she's like a dinosaur.
Do I hit the trigger?
They're alive like me.
And then I don't know. See the movie. Screw it.
We have to move on.
I can't believe how bad it was. Whatever.
Number 3 for you.
Oh,
'cause
God.
We just tag teamed on that.
Well, this probably is number 1 on most people's, And, yeah, Slender Man. Okay, just going to say, the game, very entertaining, very fun to play, very scary. Did not think this was going to be a good movie whatsoever, but then I found out it was originally R. And it took out all of the good elements, if there were any good elements, and dumbed it down to PG-13 because they wanted people to see it, because I guess they knew that a lot of the kids played it.
Yeah.
That's the first issue, and then of the mini, and then it's like it was just robust film, a flimsy assortment of scares, generated by generic chillers, and bearing the name Slender Man. We barely even saw him. That's another thing, and yeah, it was shit. And then I can't remember. Did I fall asleep at the end of this?
I don't know. No, you did. I had to wake you up.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so I fell asleep.
I don't even know how I stayed awake. But I'll get
I fell asleep, and I ended up having a headache, so yeah.
Okay, so number 3 for me is one you previously mentioned that I put higher up on my list, and that's Skyscraper. Because, you know how you were mentioning, I think we've heard of movies that are tall buildings where this stuff is happening. Yeah, it's called Die Hard. This was dumbed down and just like PG-13 Die Hard. It was the exact same plot, and Dwayne had like no charisma for some reason in this, which could have helped this a little bit. Neve Campbell, I thought, was pretty terrible, and there was no chemistry with her and The Rock. Again, just short and simple, it's Die Hard light, and it disappointed me and just got me furious the whole time I was watching it. Yeah.
Okay, well, top 2 time. For the longest time, this is my number 1. And why it still isn't, you'll find out soon. But this is a Disney movie, and for all accounts, Disney had a decent year, but then again, they had Nutcracker, and then they had A Wrinkle in Time. Boring movie. I wanted to walk out. It's extremely ambitious because the book was so fantastic, and in the classic book. Didn't think it was going to be good, but didn't think it was going to be this bad. Nothing came together for me, and I do remember the book quite well, and I don't think it lived up to that, and a lot of movies don't live up to the book, but especially this one. Did not think anybody was good. None of it was memorable to me. Oprah, Reese, and Mindy. Yeah, okay, whatever. And then Zach Galifianakis and Chris Pine were in it too. Yoo-hoo! But, it was bad. It was number 1 for a long time, and it ended up being number 2. Don't know why. We'll find out.
Number 2 for me was easily one of the most physically and just awkward movie for me to watch, and that's The Mule. I just did not get on board with Clint Eastwood as a character. I thought he was just a gigantic asshole throughout most of this. I didn't root for him one bit. Bradley Cooper, who's advertising this, is barely even in it. And this guy is just a general racist that doesn't get called out on it at all. And all the supposed humor was cringeworthy to me. And it was the only movie where I had a cramp so bad I had to get up out of my seat to go work on it. It was easily the worst feeling I had. It was one of the most weird, terrible feelings for me when I was watching the film. So, Clint, you're 90, just stop. Just stop.
And number 1 for me. Just saw it yesterday. Going into it, I had heard from multiple people that it was the worst movie ever created. And from all accounts, when I saw yesterday, I happen to agree with them. This passes any movie I've ever seen in my life. And that's Holmes and Watson. Number 1 worst movie I have ever seen in my life.
I did not see that.
You should see it to see how bad it is, but of course, the tandem that are in it, you've got Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly. They've been in, Step Brothers and Talladega Nights. So it's like, okay, well, it might be all right. No. I wanted to walk out 15 minutes in. That's quicker than Fast Airbender and Fantastic. So even the lowest and vilest alleys in London can't even present more dreadful film than this. So yeah, they Holmes and Watson. I feel bad for the actual story because they didn't present anything. I guess the good shit was in the trailer, which there really wasn't any of the good shit, and then half the movie they didn't even know who each other were. So yeah, that's the worst movie I've ever seen in my life, and you're lucky Wrinkle in Time because I saw Holmes and Watson before it. So yeah.
And my number one worst, you mentioned earlier, because it was just the strenuous of, what the fuck am I doing here? This is generic, it's not scary one bit, and it's dumbed down from now being a PG-13 rating, and that's Slender Man. Number one, yeah, you can say whatever you want about the video game, but this is coming out way after the game had peaked, which is kind of traditional, and just take every horror cliche that is done now and just do it again. Let's just have atrocious acting. Let's ruin an actress that was in an actual good horror film, which was Oculus. Let's have her just do nothing and go nowhere. One of the friends that's from the trailer, apparently who's supposed to stab her eye out, just stares out a window, and that's it. And in the end, they all become trees. It's kind of hysterically funny, but it was a chore to sit through because I just was leaning over my seat, almost checking my eyes every 5 minutes because I'm like, oh, this is so boring, so boring. Yeah, it just failed on every single level, and I anticipated it, and it did not disappoint in that regard, but you know what? If you're still shit, you smell like shit, you are shit. So Slender Man is my worst of the year. So, well, feel like we've now cleansed ourselves of this year almost.
I suppose, man, but 2019 looks pretty awesome.
I said that about this year, so I'm
I did not.
hold back. Just real quick now, before this year ends, from what I found out from the one source that I got, here are the top 10 grossing films in the U.S.
Oh,
Number 1, Black Panther.
Good.
Number 2, Avengers Infinity War. Number 3, Incredibles 2. Number 4, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Number 5, Deadpool 2. Number 6, out of the holiday season, somehow marched all the way up there, The Grinch.
I saw that.
Wow, so I didn't make that. Number 7, Mission Impossible Fallout. Number 8, Ant-Man and Wasp.
Marvel again.
Number 9, Solo, however, did not make its money back. And number 10, Venom.
There's a lot of Marvel in there.
Yep.
As per usual.
Imagine that Marvel and Disney are just going to own the world at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Hail Mickey. Let's get ready for that, folks. So, yeah. I don't feel like it was as strong as last year, but I was still pleasantly surprised at how many I actually then found out that I enjoyed. And there was just a lot of okay films this year.
Actually, okay was probably my biggest category. If we would have had to put, okays, that would have been by far my biggest category. So I had a lot of that, which was borderline good, borderline bad, right in the middle. So.
Yep. Again, if you guys want to continue to see these podcasts or videos sometime, please subscribe to our channel here, Crazy Poultry Inc. I am Ian Gallo Loco.
And I'm Nigger's Chicken.
2019 is coming to an end.
18,
sorry. It feels like it should already be 2019. So, you know what? 2019, please be good.